Okay, so I got here Windows 10 machine. I'm just gonna set it up. So my username will be dark. Password the usual, secure password 123 capital P. Security questions. This will be the easiest, the normal thing. Now, the reason why I'm setting up the new virtual machine with you guys here is because I want to show you how the setup works with a clean installation of Windows in how most people would do it. Now, do more across devices with activity history. Now, here's the thing. Most people would not, I would not usually, of course, click yes to this, but most people would, so I will. Let's
voice mode on.
Okay. Help from digital assistants I'm going to accept because, again, most installations already come with all of this accepted. So this will basically be our victim machine in a way. And I'm going to clone it afterwards. And then we can disable whatever we want for our attacking machine, for the machine where we're going to set up everything. But this is how most people have it set up in the wild. So this is how I'm setting it up as well. Now I'm going to clone it, but as I clone it, I'm going to pause the video because I don't want this. I'm going to do loads of pauses and cuts, even though I'm doing this as one complete thing, right? I'm not scripting anything. This is all as I'm going through it. But instead of making this, 2 hours long, I'll make this shorter by pausing it in key steps. So I'm going to pause it right now. Okay, it's finished setting it up, pretty much. Now, what I always love doing this, as soon as this happens, now, this is basically as soon as I finish my installation process. So what I like to do is coming up over here to machine. I should probably increase this, shouldn't I? I'm just going to flip it a little bit up so that you can see kind of what's going on. So machine, take snapshot, and clean installation, little description. Doesn't need to have a little description, but okay. Privacy off does not mean that I removed the privacy, that I turned off privacy settings, or rather it just means that I agree to everything because I don't have privacy, so my privacy is off. That's kind of what I'm implying there. Now I'm gonna snap my fingers again while I close this, and we'll see each other soon. Okay, so now we've done the basic installation of the machine. The first thing I want to do, by the way, I have loads of groups here. This is the one that I'm going to use for a couple of tutorials that I already have planned for reverse engineering, and also to continue the Linux tutorials. I still have to add a couple of machines here, but the one we just took a snapshot and prepared is this one called reverse engineering. I called it like this because I'm going to be using it for other things in videos that I'm going to do in the future. For right now, I'm just going to clone this, and it's going to be called victim. And I'm going to make a full clone, and I'm going to copy everything. So the clean installation as well. Because we haven't really done much, but it has changed in some ways. And I just want to keep snapshots instead of having to make a new one. Might take a little bit longer, but I don't really mind. I'm going to generate everything new. I don't need to do anything else. Let's just clone, and this will take its time. This will take its time, and now I'm going to come up over to my Camtasia and pause this. Okay, now this took a while. So here's what happened. I made a whole video, and then I realized that my microphone was off, and I didn't capture any audio. And so I'm going to redo the whole thing. I could have just redone the audio, but it's going to take as much time as doing the whole thing because I'm going to have to talk through the whole process. So I might as well just do the whole thing again live so that, you guys lose the whole thing. Anyway, so I cloned 3 times. I cloned it twice. These are the 2 clones that I made, the victim and the attacker. I'm going to start up the attacker now, and the victim will be used later on as the victim of our payload, of our malware. So I'm going to start it up. Oh, in terms of settings, oh shit. Yeah, of course. In terms of settings, I didn't do much to it. Just check how much I have left. Okay, I don't have a lot left, honestly. So I'm going to change this a little bit. Let's power this off. Let's change this a little bit to 496 or 248 is actually pretty decent. Using 2 processors, acceleration, blah blah, always good. Now for USB 3.0, you guys need the extension pack, by the way. The VirtualBox extension pack. You can download it from their website. It's pretty easy. Okay, so let's open this up. Here we go. Open it up. Just gonna pause it and come back when this is done. Hi, I'm back. Okay, so a lot of things happened. I recorded the whole thing. I realized the microphone was off, so there was no audio, which resulted in me.
Mic off. Mic on.
Sorry, which resulted in me eventually deciding to re-record the whole thing. I would have taken the same amount of time as recording the audio over the video, and I think it's better if I just record the whole thing again. So I did a couple of things already. Let's open up our VirtualBox. So what I did first was I cloned our machine. So this was our basic machine. I cloned it twice, so to make an attacker and a victim. We're only going to use the attacker today to save a bit of time, but I could use both, and I'm going to use all of these in future videos. But I might show an example of an attack between these 2 as well. Actually, might be easier. Anyway, the other thing I did was I just rearranged the icons here. I pinned PowerShell and CMD here. I installed Google Chrome. I installed WinRAR. What else? And I think that's pretty much all I did. Yes, that's all I did. So now let's go. Let's hop over to the project. So malkit GitHub, right, the first one. And we see our, the whole document here. There's a README file. Read it. That's why it's called README. I'm going to jump over to getting started. So it tells you the dependencies and requirements. You don't really need to do anything with this, just for your information of what's happening. Now, you want to go into the installation process. And here it says it requires this to run, blah, blah. Now, how do you do it? Well, you set up a conda environment. So let's go for the conda environment. Now, you could do this without a conda environment. You could do this with only Python, but there are a couple of problems with that. That's why I use the conda environment. Right? Some people have problems doing it with the Python. Now, granted, I haven't. I developed it using the conda environment, so it's been tested. So all the testing that I do is there. So some bugs that do happen outside of conda environments, I don't really see them immediately or at all. And there is one bug that I've identified already that prevents you from being able to build the Chrome pass. The malware is perfect, but the Chrome pass doesn't work well. Now, Anacon has been installed. I'm just going to double click or click on it and proceed for the installation. if it would actually load. Oh, this is going to take a long time. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to wait for this to load up. Okay, perfect. Now click on next. I agree. Just make sure. Why not? Next. Now, this is important. Add on the content path. It's going to light up around. It's going to tell you, no, don't do that. Just please do that. Install. It just makes everything a lot easier. Now, this is going to take a while. Trust me, this is going to take a long while. Meanwhile, I want to tell you something else. Now, of course, you want to download this project as well. Now, to download this, you can come over here to clone and download zip, right? By the way, this is like that because I just committed, not 8 hours ago, but right now. 8 hours ago? 8 hours ago. That is not true. I literally just issued a commit. Did it not work? It did. Okay, I just checked and it was 6 minutes ago. So I mean, it's definitely it's definitely time that is messed up here. But it was not 8 hours ago. Anyway, you can just click here and download the zip and extract it. But I'm going to install Git. It's just going to be easier. So I just type Git on Google and write the first thing that happens and downloads and click on Windows and then you download it. Before you run the Git installer though, I would make sure that I had Notepad++, right? That's what I'm doing. Notepad++ is amazing. You don't need to have it, but it's going to integrate well and you are going to be able to select it during the Git setup. So that's why I'm doing it. So downloads for Notepad++, right? There's the website. You click downloads here, scroll down to 64-bit installer, click there, install it. Nothing to do, it's just clicking next. Then when it comes to Git, you're just going to install it normally as well. I don't think there's anything to do. There's one setting to tweak, but that's it, I believe. I'm just going to open it up just to show you. So right here, just click next, next. Here, this is it. So here, this would be the default one. You change this to Notepad++. That's just easier. And you click next, 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 and then you just go through a next fast until you install, and then you just click install, and it will install. And after this, you can open up your PowerShell window or your command prompt. I like PowerShell, and you will be able to use Git. Now, I'm going to wait for this to finish installation. It's going to take a while, so I'm going to pause this. And we're done. Okay, so now just click next, next, blah, blah. We don't need to learn more about this. Okay, we're done. So what did we do? We installed Git. Well, first we installed Notepad++. We installed Git. We installed Anaconda environment, right? Let's go over here to our project again and see our installation notes. And I just added something that was not here before, which is this line here, because I remembered that it was important. So I just added that. So we're going to go through it. So we visited Anaconda. We ran the installer. We added the path. Perfect. Now open up a new PowerShell window and run this. Now the reason why you want to run this, I'll show you, is because you cannot run PowerShell scripts. Well, I can now because I already changed it in here, but I'm going to change it back. So the remote, this is basically a setting that execution policy. This is a setting that basically the set execution policy is a command that sets a specific policy, right? The execution policy of what you're allowed to execute. And by default, it's restricted. So you're not allowed to actually execute PowerShell scripts on PowerShell. Example. I don't even need to do anything for it. Let's just go to desktop. And let's execute test.ps1. And it's going to tell you, I didn't even add anything to it, right? It's empty. It's literally just, it's empty. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that, damn it. Close. This is heavy as fuck. Okay. If we open it with Notepad, it's empty, right? It's empty. But it will still tell you, oops, it cannot be loaded because running scripts is disabled on this machine. And this is what would happen if you try to run a script in PowerShell by default. So how do you fix that? Well, just like the document said, you open up as administrator and you do a set execution policy remote sign. And then you press A, right? So it's basically what it's here, right? So open up a new PowerShell window as administrator and run that. Set execution policy remote sign. Press A when it prompts you, close the window, right? Now we're good. So now if we try to run that, well, it's empty, so nothing happens, but this error does not show up anymore. So that's why that's for. So that's why I included that as well there. Okay, let's continue. So open up a normal PowerShell and enable Conda to use it. So now if we type Conda, we'll see that we get information because Conda is installed. If you don't get it, you quit and you reopen it again. Because after you install Anaconda, you have to reopen your PowerShell window, of course, so that it loads in the environment variables again. Well, specifically the path. So how do we do this? Well, Conda init, and we're using PowerShell, so of course we have to conda init PowerShell. Now, mind you, if you're using CMD, you don't actually have to do that. So come up over here, Conda. Let me tell you why. So let's do a Conda activate. I'll tell you what this does, but or actually, let's do a. Damn it. Okay. You follow this along, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the order of this a little bit. Okay. So let's pretend we already did this because I want to show you why that's important. And I'm gonna skip this for now, and I'm gonna go and update Anaconda. Right? Conda update Conda. This is gonna update Conda, not Anaconda or the whole thing. It's just gonna update Conda, which is what we're gonna use to install our new packages, to install to create virtual environments, etc. So this might take a while. Always does. It's gonna start solving the environment. Okay, we're done. So it tells us that we have stuff to install. We click yes, and we just wait for the installation to finish. And almost there. There we go, finished. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new environment. We're going to call it malkit because that's the name of projects, and it's the same thing as we're doing it here, right? And of course, we're going to include Python equals 3.7. Because again, that's the latest Python that Malkit supports. So just run that command, and it's creating a virtual environment there. Yes. Now this might take a while, so I'm going to pause it. And we're done. And notice it finished, and it says to activate, do that. Right? If we come up over here, activate your environment. Activate Malkit, right? So the same thing that it tells us to do. Now when we do this, this is what's going to happen. Nothing. Right? It seems like nothing happened because nothing actually happened. Okay. However, if you come up over here to command prompt instead of PowerShell, and you do the same thing, look what happens. Malkit is in parentheses here. So you don't need to do anything specific to use command prompt. You don't even need to set the execution policy to remote sign. In command prompt, it just works. But to work with it in PowerShell, you need to init conda for PowerShell. And that's what that is for. That's why that is a command that... Shit. That's the YouTube video I was watching. That is why this command is here. Okay? Sorry, not this one. That's why this command is here. Now, after this happens, notice you need to reopen the current shell for it to take effect. So we're going to close the shell and open it again. Now you're going to notice something. You're going to notice base is happening here. So what is base? So conda env list. This is going to list all of the environments that exist in conda. We created malkit, so there should be malkit, and there should be another one, which is the base. This is the environment that already comes with it, right? The base environment. We're not going to use this for anything. We're going to use malkit. We're going to keep using new environments for different things. So the base environment isn't touched if we needed to use it. Because if we break something here, we broke it in a virtual environment. And the little star represents the one you're in. That's why it's base here, right? Now you could deactivate base by just actually explicitly saying deactivate. Actually, no, sorry. Conda deactivate. And now it doesn't say anything. So we explicitly deactivated base. But now we're going to activate malkit. You don't need to deactivate base to activate malkit. I just did that as to show you how it works. Now, conda activate malkit will activate this environment. Now, this environment, if you type Python here, you'll see it's 3.7.5 Anaconda. If you deactivate this, and you run Python, it's 3.7.4 Anaconda, right? It's the other Python. Wow, right? Interesting, right? So the thing is, this is the base Python. Let's activate the base environment just for the sake of it. So see, this is the Anaconda for the base environment, the Python version for the base environment. But when you activate the other one, it's a different Python, because essentially it's almost as if it's a different Python installation, an isolated one, so that you can use, you can create as many environments as you want, install as many applications as you want. If you install an application here, it will not be installed in the other environment, right? So it's basically like a little virtual machines of Python, if you want to think about it like that. And it's just very useful because you can isolate, you can create one for each project or for each kind of project, and then you always have an environment isolated that you can fuck up, and it's not going to fuck up your base installation. It's not going to require you to reinstall Anaconda or Python or anything of the like, and it's just going to organize your things really easily. Now we're done. The other thing that I did was I went up to Documents. I created a folder called Projects. Inside, I created a folder called Code. Now, inside of here, we're going to go and shift and right-click so that we have an open PowerShell window here. Now, we are going to copy our project. So to do that, we're going to click up here. We're going to copy this. If you installed Git, you can use Git. If you didn't, you can just download zip and extract it. But if you installed Git, you can type git clone and paste. Now, remember, I just opened a new PowerShell window, and it's base here again, so it's not malkit anymore. So we have to activate that. You notice that a folder came up here. Malkit got created. So we're going to go into the folder. And now what we're going to do is, we're just going to follow along the video. It's 5 a.m. The instructions. So we did that, right? We did that. Now we need to install the requirements. But don't forget, this is base, so we need to activate our environment. I'm going to activate. Oh my god, activate. Okay. There we go. Now pip install requirements.txt. And hopefully this will install all the requirements. Eating some chips here. At 5 a.m. I'm super healthy. It's going to take a while. I'm going to pause it. Actually, as soon as I paused it, I realized that it was actually already done. So everything is correctly installed, apparently. No error messages. Perfect. So how do we proceed now? Oops. How do we proceed now? Well, Python, malkit. Why? just to see if it's working. There we go, it's working. It tells us, how to use it. There's a help, a version, and there are specific commands. Now, if you want to know what the specific commands do, well, build malware and -h. And now it's going to tell you what to do. And we're just going to look at the examples here because that's an easy way to understand it. So let's first copy this first example and just use this first example. Now, what's really happening? This is just building the malware. Now, host is the IP address that you want the malware to connect to. In this case, I'm choosing my own, but the local host. But you can choose whatever. Obviously, it has to be your IP, right? Or it should, because you want to access the victim's computer, right? So it should be your IP. Now, it can be a local IP or a public IP. If it's a public IP, so if you want to sense, if the victim is outside of your local area network, you want to put your public IP here. But of course, then you need to set up port forwarding. But you should know how to do that. If not, I can make another video. But if it's in the same network, then of course you can put the private IP address, the local IP address. For me, I just put localhost since we're going to be testing this on localhost right now. And this is the port. I'm going to put 4444. You can put whatever you want. I'm just going to click enter. And that's the example as well, so it's just easy for testing. Hopefully, something went wrong here. Something went terribly wrong, but even though something went terribly wrong, it's still built, but something went wrong. I'm not entirely sure what it is. Let me just check it really quickly. Did I break something? Did I break something? Yeah. I know exactly what happened. Actually, you know what? Let's do this differently. Let's Let's run it again and see if it runs correctly now. But by the time this video is up, this will be fixed, of course. It's not an issue. It's not a big issue. It still runs, but now it's finalizing. It's done, and it completes without problems. You can locate the generated files in the build folder. C blah blah. Wait, what the hell? Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Allow access. Yes. This is something I've been working on and testing. This will show up. You can cancel this if you want. There's been an error here. So you know what? I'm just going to do a big yes here and a big no here. And I'm going to just cancel this. I'm going to roll this back at some point. It's just a stupid thing that I was working on. And it's working on my computer. It's not working here because probably something is wrong here. Target test does not exist. Oh, okay. What if I change that to, say, where is it? I've been working on some tests here. That's why it's this is happening. But what if I just not do that and just let it build? Or I might add a configuration to it. I'm not sure if I should add that like that, but You know what? I'm just gonna leave it like this, and just so I can show you what I've been working on. So let's just run it again, just normally. Now it says you can locate it in the builds folder, and now it's gonna start doing something else. But if you come up over here to the builds folder, you'll see malware already there. So so the malware is already here. Now it's gonna start doing something else. Oh my god, what the hell? Unable to find a manifest signing certificate. Ooh, yeah, there is no certificate there. I don't have the certificate, do I? No. Damn it. I guess I'll have to use the certificate. Doesn't matter. Just ignore this for now. It might be fixed or not. I don't. I'm not going to fix it. I'm probably not going to fix it before I upload the video. But it's not really a problem. It's just an extra thing I was working on, and it's going to be fixed eventually. But just forget about this. Close this window. It's not important. And after that, it asks you, would you like to build the listener too? In the builds, you already have malware.exe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this into my desktop. And I want to build the listener, yes. And do I want to start the listener? Yes. Oops. Yes. Okay, the listener has been started, right? Now, I'm going to save it here while I open up a new PowerShell. While I open up a new PowerShell window, and I'm going to build Chrome Pass so that you see both features of it, really. Also, I'm going to exit out of this, actually. If you didn't build the listener, you could have used the build listener function. And when you do the -h, it tells you a little bit of an example of how to use it. And here's the example, and this example is perfect because you only need the port, right? And this is already set to the port 4444, which is the one we used in the payload, so it's the one we want to build. Now, when we do that, it builds. So if we take this away and we build it, listener is going to be built here, right? So when the listener is built there, all you got to do to start it is, of course, Python. Damn it. Is, of course, Python listener.py, and execute it. Now it's listening for connections and it's executing, right? That's perfect. Now, let's open up the other PowerShell window, and don't forget, activate malkit. And I'm going to do the other function, build Chrome Pass. And when I do -h, it will show me how to use it. Now I'm going to skip over to the examples. Ignore these two. These do not work yet. I haven't built it yet. But these are incredibly easy, right? But this one is the most difficult one. I'm just working on other things. Now, how does this work? Well, you can just copy paste this and change the email address. That's all you need to do. When you change the email address to one that you control, you can create one, a new one. And I created one right now, actually, John Doe 1232541, to test this in. And this is the email where you'll receive your logs, right? Now, I have no messages here. I'm going to use this email address. I'm just going to press enter and let it do its thing. Come on. What fell? Oh, nothing really. Oh, it's done. You can locate the generated file in the builds folder. Perfect. Now, let's go to the build folder. Oh, there we are. And I am going to drag this over to the desktop. Okay. Now it's time to see these in action, right? Now, the listener is for the malware. The Chrome Pass doesn't need a listener. Let's start with the malware. So I'm going to open up two windows for things to look for. So you can see what the malware is doing. It's really easy to clean up. I made it that way so that it's easy to test. It doesn't install itself on weird parts of the computer, blah, blah. I'm going to open Shell Startup, and I'm also going to open App Data. because these are the two regions it's going to use. Now you can see that it's empty right now. App data, well, it's not empty, but this is what it's in, and startup is empty, right? And right here, no connections. Let's put this here, just like that, and this there. And now let's run the malware. Running it. Now notice what's happening. Right now, Windows Defender got created here, a session got opened, and on this one, there's a new file called malware.py. Okay, let's go step by step. So first thing it does is it creates a copy of itself as a Windows Defender.exe on the startup folder. So if you go to your task manager, you go to your startup, you'll see Windows Defender. This is not obviously the correct one. It's the one that we just put on startup. Has a Windows Defender icon, but the same thing as the malware. It's basically a copy of itself. Now, in app data, there's a malware.py, and this is where the function that it's going to run is. Now this, if you open it up, is encrypted. It decrypts at runtime, it just reads and decrypts and runs, encrypts again. But it's stored here. It can be stored anywhere. I chose to store it here so you could easily see it. Now, the malware itself connects back to us so that we got a session here. Now, there are a couple of commands for this. If you type in help, by the way, there is tab completion. So if you just type tab, it will complete it for you. It will tell you all the commands that exist. So there are listener commands and shell commands. Listener commands, we have list, interact, kill, exit, and help. Shell commands, we have background or BG and download on exit. Now, let me give you an example on how to use each of these. So help, of course, it's to display the help. Now, list will list the active sessions. So we only have one session. This is the session number, so it starts with 0, and this is the details of the IP. Now, this would be either the local IP or the public IP of the victim. If you know, that's the local port that it's in. It's the remote port. Now, how do we interact with these, right? It could be like 0 or 2 or 5 or 10, if you had 10 sessions. We use interact, : 0. : will be common separator of most of the commands that require more than one, input. 0 is the session number, that's why I'm using here. And enter. And now you notice that it's not listener anymore, it's shell. And this is just the number, so you know what's happening. And we're already in the shell of the external computer. Now, if you would do who am I, you would get the victim's computer information. Now, it's taking a little bit of time. Don't worry about that. It depends on internet connection and other details about the computer, but it should be relatively fast. It's not as fast as running a direct PowerShell on the computer, but that's normal. Now, I can see the directory we're in. And because this is the directory where we launched our malware. This will always be the directory where we launched our malware. Now, what can we do inside of here? Well, you can do, again, a help command. In fact, all commands inside of shell actually start with a less than sign, so that it doesn't get confused with actual shell commands you might want to use. So if you do a less than sign and do a tab, it will show you commands that exist. So BG in background will just, put this in background, and so that you can connect to another session if you want. Download will download a file, exit will exit, this will show the help. Now, how do you download a file? It's really easy. So first of all, you just do download, you can press tab to autocomplete. You can just press enter, and it will tell you, hey, use proper syntax. And here's the syntax. So you download : the remote file, : local destination, / local file, or wherever you want to store. So example, let's create a file, right? So right now we're in desktop, so we can just really easily create a file. So let's create a file that says test file to be downloaded and test file.txt. And you notice that it's going to be creating a text file right on desktop. There we go. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to actually add a space. I'm going to actually add a space to this, just to show you how it works with a space here as well. Now, let's say we want to download this file. Now, where do we download it? Don't forget, we ran our PowerShell window from this folder, right? So whatever we put the file from, unless you give it, as a hard-coded path, if you just give it a relative path, it will be relative to this directory here, because this is where you launched the PowerShell from, right? This in your own computer, not in the victim's computer. Now, the desktop is basically the victim's computer. This folder is the attacker computer. Basically, that's how things are happening right now. It's all on the same computer, but just imagine that this is on different computers. I just don't want to pull the other virtual machine right now. So how do we download the file? So let's download the test file. Now, you don't need quotes or anything. If it has spaces, just type it in, test file.txt. That's why the double colon exists. So the exists is a separator. Double colon, and then where you want to put it. So remember, it's relative to this. So let's say we want to create a new directory called download files, and we want to have it called, local tests.txt or something. We just press enter, download files, typo there, but file written successfully at download files local test. Now, if you come over here, you'll see, there's download files. Click there. Oh, local test. Test file to be downloaded. Perfect. Download this successfully. And that's how it works. Now, how do you upload it? You don't yet. You'll be able to once I add that functionality, but that functionality is relatively easy. Now, if you do an exit, you're basically killing the session at the same time. The malware reconnects after X amount of time, right? Although it doesn't reconnect if you pop the session like this. Or it does, but it takes more time. But we'll see how that happens. This is just basic usage. So this is how the malware works, essentially. Pretty easy, right? Now, to clean up the malware, that's the last thing to do. Well, you can't actually delete this because this is still running, still trying to connect, right? Because even though we just closed the listener, right? If you open up the listener again, let's open up the listener again. Damn it. Remember, shift right click on an empty part of the folder to open up a PowerShell window there. Activate. Actually, we don't need to activate it probably for just the listener, but there we go. Now, if we just let it happen, there are no sessions. Oh, there we go. Got one session. That was fast. So it just connects back to us, right? It tries to keep connecting back to us every a random delay from, I believe, 10, whatever. It's here on the malkit.com. You can alter some things here in the configuration. Reconnect. It's from between 1 to 6 seconds, right? You can change this from 10 seconds to 60 seconds, and that will get recognized when you build it. So to clean this up, all you got to do is you come over here to malkit, to malware.exe, you delete that. You delete it from shell startup as well. And that's it, and you're done. Of course, you can also, if you want, you don't need to because no one's using it, but you can also delete this, and you're done. Now, Chrome Pass, how does it work? Well, I saved the password for this user right here when I logged in, by the way, just so you could see it working. And this is the email. Now, let's run this. And it's going to do its thing. It's going to run. Nothing happened, apparently, right? Wow, nothing really happened. Amazing. Oh, wait, there's an error. Virtual memory is too low to run this program. Try closing some programs. Damn. That sucks, doesn't it? Now, let's check our email. We didn't get any emails. Well, let's check our spam folder. There we go, Chrome Pass. let's tell it that it's not spam. Chrome pass. Oh, what is this? This is the IP. This is my IP, coincidentally. I'll blur it out. And right inside of here, there are 3 files. One called, actually, I'm just going to download them all so you can see it better. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to blur it. Who cares? It's a VPN anyway. Let's extract them all here. And there are 3 files. Right? Let's put them in desktop so for easy viewing. 2 JSON files and 1 text file. The text file has the passwords. So there's only 1 password that I saved. And it's accounts@google.com, so Gmail. This is the username, and this is the password. That's correct. Right? And I could show you that that's correct if I try to enter and use this password copy. So you can see I'm copying it, paste it, next. There we go. Right? There we go. And we're in. Right? That's the password. Now the other 2, what are they? Well, this one is cookies email. These are cookies, by the way. These are all cookies. If you open up this one, this is all cookies, separated by domain. All cookies that exist. Right? So you can do some cookie stuff. A lot of stuff here. Anaconda stuff, blah, blah. This, it tries to isolate ones that are specifically for email. So mail.google.com. And that's it, mail ads. So basically, it searches for keywords like mail and stuff like that and tries to figure out which ones are email related and puts it here. And that's it. That's the Chrome pass. Whoever executes this, it just sends you an email with the person's IP as a subject and 3 files, one containing all the passwords that are saved, the other one containing all the cookies, and yet another one containing all the cookies that it identified as being probably from email websites. And that's it. That's everything that you need to know right now about Malkit. You can explore the rest of it on your own, but that's the basic usage of it. Thank you.